Welcome to Satsunami. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Satsunami. My name's Satsunami and living and learning today in this endless possibility is none other than the Sonic head herself. It is Wysteria Moth. Moth, welcome back.
It's great to be back.
Is it though? No, I'm kidding.
Damn, okay. No, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. Listen, we're just over here trying to live life, you know?
Very true. You are indeed a knight of the wind. Why did I go for that one? I don't know. Let me city escape out of here. See what I did there?
And never turn back.
Yeah, never turn back.
Oh, no.
See, when I see Sega, right? They're hiring all these hyper-competent influencers to push their products. Sega, I'm right here. I am a nerd. I have all the time in the world. Pay me in old Sonic games, okay?
Sega! I will make a fool of myself on the internet for your benefit. Just pay me in retro Sonic and my life is yours.
I will spin dash in real life, okay? Sega, come here, come closer, please, please. Anyway, my crippling midlife crisis aside, today we are, of course, going to be talking about shock horror, our very enthusiastically shared interest. That, of course, being not only Sonic the Hedgehog, but we're going to be going in a more auditory path tonight. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the soundtrack, the absolute brilliance of the Sonic the Hedgehog music. And let me tell you, when you proposed this to me, I was like, yeah, let me just spam, live and learn, open your heart, you know.
Like, the thing is, right, Sonic the Hedgehog, there's many things to love about Sonic the Hedgehog. There's many things to loathe about Sonic the Hedgehog. It's such a broad variety. But one thing that it seldom misses on is the music. And I think that that is just a collective agreement. This is the one thing that we can all agree on. Seldom does Sonic music miss. And I think that is just such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is actually really surprising because even the detractors of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise will agree and say, oh, well, at least the music's good, except for one or two, but we won't focus on them, calling it butt rock. Which, you're not wrong, but at the same time, why'd you have to do them dirty like that?
The thing is, right, one thing I think I really appreciate about Sonic music, and this is something we can go into further on, is the fact that they aren't really afraid to take chances for certain things, and the sound has just evolved so much from, like, different generations and whatnot. It's just wild to consider, and I think it's just going to be so fun to sort of have a little looky-loo into the timeline of it all. I think it'll be really interesting to talk about. I could talk about this for hours, so buckle up.
Yeah, you can't see it, but in the corner, I'm like tapping my watch going, my Sonic branded watch going, we have a limit here.
The Sonic the Hedgehog watch, that's just Sonic in the middle with his arms as the hands, like the old Mickey Mouse watches.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. No joke, no joke.
Oh no. We found the shared brain cell. There it is. Put it in a box.
Don't let it get away.
Don't let it get away.
So, going back to the music for a second, I'm quite curious to hear, no pun intended, I'm quite curious to hear your initial thoughts when you first started getting into the series. Was this something that you noticed when you started playing the games that you thought, oh, the soundtrack is absolutely amazing, or was it something that you didn't really think about until afterwards?
So, in the days of yore, when I was but a wee one, my first real exposure, aside from when I was even younger, we had a Sega Genesis in the daycare I went to. We had like an N64 and a Genesis. I remember watching kids playing Sonic, but my first experience playing Sonic, I started in the 3D era, and my very first Sonic game was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. And I remember starting that game for the first time, and my first playthrough, what instantly had me hooked onto the series. I think this is a formative moment for any Sonic fan who started with Sonic Adventure 2. What instantly sort of got its hooks into me immediately was that opening bass lick for Escape from the City. I was invested immediately. From the ground up, that was it. I was done. And it was just the entirety, all of the music in Sonic Adventure 2 already is amazing to me. It is still probably one of my favorite soundtracks. It only has, in recent years, sort of been pushed off of its throne a little bit just because there's so much great music out there now. The Sonic series is just saturated with amazing vocal tracks, amazing stage music, all of it. But going all the way to the very, very beginning, again, it was Escape from the City that really locked locked me in. And it still holds a special place in my heart. For a little bit of cringe here, I actually did perform Escape from the City for a talent show when I was in school. I didn't win, but still, it was fun.
So what you're saying is it was rigged?
It was rigged. It was rigged from the start.
Just out of curiosity, did you have any Italian plumbers working at your school?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. We're going to have to come back to that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's quite.
But sorry, go on.
But no, it was just like, even from the child, the indoctrination started young. It was either, funny little Italian men or fast little furry thing. And I went fast little furry thing. That was my go-to. But looking back on it now, it's just so funny. And I know it's a little bit of an exaggeration. I'm like, oh, there's no way. There's no way it happened that quick. But it really was. And then pretty much just everything that followed after that was just banger after banger after banger. And it was just kind of like, where has this been my whole life? That game was the first time I actually sort of paid attention to video game music, or music in a video game anyway. Don't get me wrong, Sonic did this a lot as well, where the music ends up being more of a backdrop for the stage rather than enhancing the stage you're playing in. But something about Sonic Adventure 2 and the way that the music was just so proactive in the actual theming and the building of the stage that you're playing, it just had me so invested. And that's why I think Sonic Adventure 2 is still one of my favorite games. The gameplay is what had me, but the music is what really kept me there and just really made me want to keep playing it.
No, I genuinely couldn't agree with you more there. I think for me personally, that moment came with Sonic Adventure, because although Sonic Adventure 2 was absolutely fantastic, I totally agree with you. City Escape is well known amongst, oh, goodness knows how many people outside of the fandom. But as I said, for me, I remember watching my brother play it and listening to Sonic's theme, It Doesn't Matter, which is something that we will talk about later on in the episode. Absolutely fantastic song that I want to say it was composed by Junsun Noe, the other half of Crush 40. I have to say, and this is like such a nerdy side tangent, but you know how in JoJo when people say, oh, what would your stand be? And it's named after a particular band or whatever.
Yeah.
See, for me, non-ironically, mine's would definitely be called Crush 40 because I'm such a Sonic nerd. I just love the music. Oh, honestly, it's just absolutely brilliant. But between his composing and Tony Harnell on the vocals, honestly, it was brilliant. The whole game just sucked me in because I feel as if the music does play a central role in these games. And again, we'll get into the main riff of it in the episode, but it definitely caused me to stick around, whether it was the kind of mystical music in the Mystic Ruins, or it was the more upbeat pop music of Station Square. That played a big part in my life. And I have to say, see, even before Spotify, before iTunes, I managed to get copies of the music online. I would listen to them on my old scabby MP3 player. That's the thing, because a lot of people would ask me, oh, what songs are you listening to? And usually I would have one or two popular songs at the time, but mainly it would just be Sonic music. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, God, yeah. My playlist was a dangerous place to be when I was growing up because there was no telling what you would get. 9 times out of 10, it's either going to be the Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack, the Sonic Heroes soundtrack, the Sonic Adventure soundtrack. It was going to be some blend of both vocal and stage music, and it was just like, prepare. That's all I'm going to say is tread carefully.
And you know what? I suppose that is the perfect segue to get into why we think that this Sonic the Hedgehog music and the soundtracks as a whole are not only so influential, but so important to the series. So, see, without any further ado, will we just jump into it?
Mm-hmm.
And we will be right back as we spin dash across for that sponsorship after these messages. Welcome to Satsunami, a variety podcast that discusses topics from gaming and films to anime and general interests.
Previously on Satsunami, we've analysed what makes a good horror game, conducted a retrospective on Pierce Brosnan's run as James Bond, and listened to us take deep dives into both the Sonic and Halo franchises.
Also, if you're an anime fan, then don't forget to check us out on our sub-series, Chatsunani, where we dive into the world of anime. So far, we've reviewed things like Death Note, Princess Mononoke, and the hit Beyblade series.
If that sounds like your cup of tea, then you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and all good podcast apps.
As always, stay safe,
stay awesome, and most importantly,
stay hydrated.
Join me, Slade, and my 2 co-hosts,
Joey and Tim,
over at the Video Game Club, where once every 2 weeks we review a video game, not too dissimilar to a book club.
podcast.
You can you can find us at the Video Game Club on all good podcast providers and some sketchy ones as well.
Hi, this is Dan from Casting Views, and you're listening to another great episode from Satsunami. Let's get back to the show.
So, Moth,
Yeah.
I've got to ask an important question here.
Okay, I'm a little afraid.
Not that the other questions weren't important. You know, well, you can throw them out the window if you want, but I will cry. Anyway.
Suffer.
Yabaro.
Please. Okay, but no, look, again, I'm a little afraid, but I'm happy to hear your question, yes.
So the way we've decided to tackle this episode is to go through, just in a general sense, the generations of the series. So, of course, we're going to be focusing on the retro age of Sonic. We're going to be focusing, of course, on the adventure era, which I feel as if has to have its own segment.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be focusing as well on the quote-unquote dark age, then swiftly moving on to the modern age, which we will include Frontiers by the end, don't you worry. But going on to the retro age, because there is so much discussion around why the music is so iconic even today, because let's face it, Green Hill Zone, that is the quintessential Sonic song, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It sure is.
Yeah. Is this the bit where you and I, we do that thing from Predator, we're like, you know what, I'm going to say it, Emerald Hill is better than Green Hill Zone.
No, it's not even that. It's not even that. This is more like that Family Guy segment of like, you know what? I didn't like The Godfather. Okay, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Green Hill Zone. When you think Sonic the Hedgehog, right? Like, Sonic the Hedgehog has just become synonymous with the Green Hill Zone. Thus, he has sort of become synonymous with the Green Hill Zone stage music. For a while there, if there was anywhere Sonic was involved, Green Hill would play. It was almost like his theme song at one point. And some would argue it still is. Me, personally, because, like I said, I started in a 3D Sonic era, I don't have the same attachment to Green Hill Zone that a lot of people have. Even going back and playing the games as an adult, I'm like, oh yeah, this is fun because, you know, I'm playing the game. It's really nice. But for listen, I can hear everyone just getting ready. I can hear the paragraphs being typed on Twitter already. I am so tired of Green Hill Zone.
You know, in Gladiator, with the Emperor sitting there and he goes, it vexes me. I'm terribly vexed.
Yes,
is this your moment?
This is my moment. Don't get me wrong. I will always have a great appreciation for Green Hill Zone and the OG and like the side-scroller games. I will always have a great appreciation for them because that's where we started, right? But I am so tired. There's other great music from those games. We do not need any more Green Hill Zone or Chemical Plant. Please, for the love of God.
Hey, you leave Chemical Plant out of this. What did my boy Chemical Plant do to you? Come on.
It's overplayed. It's overplayed. It's right there with Green Hill Zone. Literally, it does not have to always be Green Hill Zone or Chemical Plant. I know that they are two icons, two monoliths of Sonic history, but please, there are other stages you can appreciate for the love of...
As I said, Emerald Hill, just throwing it in there. Sky Fortress Zone.
Exactly. Come on.
Because, I mean, what was the other one? Was it Ice Cap Zone?
Ice Cap, yeah.
Yeah, was that the one that had Michael Jackson's quote-unquote involvement, but not involvement?
You know what? I think it might have been, but it has been a hot minute since I've looked up trivia like that.
Yeah, because I remember in Sonic 3, there was the thing where it was like, oh, he was included in the music, but then, oh, he wasn't. And you're like, which one is it, Sega? Come on.
Commit to an answer, Sega.
Yeah, exactly. It's just as bizarre, but that actually shows you just how important Sonic the Hedgehog was when they were getting people like Michael Jackson, who was at the pinnacle of his success back then, you know, in the 90s and things, and they were like, oh, do you want to compose a song for us? But they went the kind of Simpsons route, where it's like, oh, we kind of got him, but we're not going to say we got him.
We're not going to say yay or nay, but somebody was here.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, no, because the thing is, right, and again, I think that's probably why I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with, well, I won't say love-hate. I'll say I'm exasperated by it, because it's like, come on now, please. There's other great music, other pieces of great music you could use from these games. It doesn't have to be the same two. It almost feels like it almost devalues the rest of the soundtracks if you only use the two that it's most known for.
I have to say, the soundtrack is very reflective on how the series progressed, because you have a lot of absolutely fantastic music there. And then, of course, they pluck out the only two that you're like, really? Is that what you're going to go for with? As you said, Green Hill Zone, Chemical Plant Zone. It's underselling the track. And I have to say, something that I think younger listeners of this episode won't really realise back then is that games had to tell their stories through visual cues, but as well, the soundtrack complemented that.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, with Green Hill Zone, I know, it was quite upbeat and very, I wouldn't say fast, but it had a lot of energy to it that you thought, oh, this is, as you said, fast, funny thing that was running through Green Hill Zone. But then, of course, they had a lot more of a slower motif in, I want to say Marble. Is it Marble Zone?
Yes, I love Marble Zone. It's one of my favorites.
But that's the thing, though, with the music, it told this story of, okay, we're going to slow down a bit, we're going to focus more on the platforming rather than running fast, which I know, ironic considering it's Sonic the Hedgehog, but it was really cool how they did that. And then by the time it got to Sonic CD, and correct me if I'm wrong, but could Sonic CD be possibly the first soundtrack that had vocals to it?
I think it was. If I remember correctly, I think it was. Sonic CD is just like, come on, that is a banger of a soundtrack as well. Sonic Boom is just still one of my favorite songs. I still listen to it. It's still in my daily listen. And the fact that there's so many great versions of it now, Crush 40's version went crazy. They had no business going that hard for Sonic Boom, but they did, and thank you.
No, I love that. That's on my playlist as well, much to my partner's dismay, but I'm the one driving the car, so...
No, that's exactly it. Listen, this is why driving anywhere with me was so precarious, because it was just kind of like, listen, if you're riding with me, you better be ready for an entire retrospective of every Sonic game ever through the sound of music. Buckle up.
Yeah, it's either going to be Sonic or Satsunami. Choose your poison. Again, that encapsulated the absolute energy that went into Sonic CD. And I'm going to be honest, Sonic CD isn't my favourite of the retro games. That honour surprisingly goes to Sonic 2.
My God.
Yep. I'm going to say it because Sonic 2, and this is probably going to get my Sonic card revoked here if there is such a thing, but Sonic 2 is the only retro game that I feel as if I played fully from start to finish.
Listen, if you're going to do any of them, and I'm going to be right here with you. We'll go down this burning ship together. So I'm very much the same in the way that of the retro games, Sonic 2 was the one I played most. And it wasn't for anything special other than just, yeah, this is fun game. Go zoomy zoomy. Yeah, it was just my favorite. So it's like, I can absolutely relate to you on that front.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that doesn't take away from the other games, but at the same time, I feel as if the soundtrack was pivotal in telling a story and a narrative alongside the obvious visuals, because don't get me wrong, they've been doing that since the dawn of time of cinema with silent pictures that you would have the guy playing the piano beside them, whereas at this time you actually get to control Charlie Chaplin in the screen.
Yeah.
If he was a blue hedgehog, but I don't want to think about that crossover.
Listen, that'd be the crossover of the century.
Yeah, that really would. But it's a weird one because we went from it being pivotal in telling the narrative to when we went to the 3D era, of course, with Sonic Shuffle, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, that it almost became complementary rather than very, very important. Because I feel as if without the music, it might not have done as well, because I played many a game that's very similar to Sonic the Hedgehog, and I have to say I don't really remember them as well, because I think the soundtrack's it's okay and the gameplay's it's kind of average, whereas with Sonic you've got such a variety of music, of gameplay style, that you're able to think, wow, this has left such an impression. But then you get to the Adventure series, and this is something I was talking to you about, and you said save it for the podcast, but I feel as if the Adventure series does it absolutely pitch perfectly. I'm going to be honest, and this is a bias because I am a massive Adventure fanboy here, but I feel as if thematically this is the main thing that the music does in these games. It is very thematical. It's kind of funny that you have almost the same themes translated from Sonic Adventure to Sonic Adventure 2 in a kind of cover way. We will get onto it, but for Sonic Adventure as a whole, it just really informs the characters. You've got got, as I mentioned before, It Doesn't Matter, which is a very pop rock song. It's all about Sonic saying, you know, it doesn't matter in life what happens, you just gotta keep going, you gotta keep believing in yourself. For Tails, ironically enough, called Believe in Myself, I absolutely love that one. I genuinely, that was very inspirational to me as a kid, I have to say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just seeing Tails go through this character arc, which was so weird, because you're playing a game about a two-tailed fox punching a egg-shaped man that was gonna, and I quote, make mincemeat out of me. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So,
oh, yeah.
it was terrifying, but at the same time, you're like, gonna fight for this game. So, I mean, there was that, there was Biggs, I think it's Lazy Day in Paradise, that's more of a kind of jovial, oh, look, let's spend the day with a friend kind
What
of
a
thing.
banger, though.
Oh, it was, yeah. I actually remember once I was singing it in school, just to myself, and I can't remember the line. It's something like, oh, it's going to be a big sunny day or something like that at one point, and someone overheard me, and they turned around and went, no, actually, it's raining outside. And I genuinely was like, what?
Oh my god. Listen, the fact that I would have actually cringed so hard that I would have folded up into a singularity, because it's like the amount of times I was caught humming along to my Sonic music as well. It's just like, oh god, please.
No, absolutely. Worth it though. Worth
But
it.
now I'm just over here, like, whenever I reached a certain age and I was driving my own car and everything, listen, the amount of times that I think, actually, funny enough, my car was a little shitbox, right? It was a 1992 Honda Accord. The car was older than me, but it got me where I needed to go. It was my first car. It was fine. I actually blew out the speakers on my car.
Oh my god.
And do you want to know what song I was listening to?
Was it Live and Learn?
No, it was not.
Oh no. Moth, what was it?
It was This Machine from Sonic Heroes.
Oh, what a bop though.
It killed the speakers in my car because the combination of the bass licks and the guitar and the chorus was enough to do my car in. So
What did you say to the mechanic?
I didn't say anything. I just never brought it up. I just carried around a Skull Candy sound mine. I still have it with me, actually. It's literally just over there. I can see it from where I'm sitting right now. And I put that on my dashboard. And I would connect my phone to Bluetooth, and that's how I listen to music in my car.
That's amazing.
But of course, it was the Sonic soundtrack that killed the speakers in my car. I mean, come on now.
If there was anybody who that would happen to, I could 100% believe it would be you.
It would be me, wouldn't it?
I'm not gonna lie, yeah. It's definitely you. But I have to say, speaking of playing it in the car, my experience is a bit like, you know that Nick Cage movie? It's like The Unbearable Weight of Amazing Talent or something like that.
Oh, you know what? I'd probably have to look at the title of the movie. It doesn't immediately ring a bell.
Well, you know the scene where it's been memed to death now, and it's like Nick Cage looks at Pedro Pascal while they're driving?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's like he's looking very bemused, and Pedro Pascal's got a big smile on his face. Imagine that, but instead, Pedro Pascal's me and Nick Cage is my girlfriend.
No, listen.
And it's Sonic blasting out. That is the experience in my car. So
This is just for me. I want to know. This has nothing to do with the podcast. I need to know. Is there a banned song in your car from a Sonic soundtrack?
no.
Oh, thank God.
No. I mean, if it doesn't make the playlist, it's not getting played. But other than that, no. There's no band.
That's
no band song.
actually great, though.
Yeah, going back to what I was saying, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
There's just so much thematical music to the Adventure series. As I was saying, we had those other tracks. The Gamma one, oh my god, the Gamma one is so damn sad.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's so industrial, cold. It's almost like the GoldenEye soundtrack at times. And then all of a sudden you get a lovely piano rendition when, spoilers, he sacrifices himself to release his friends. I had tears when I was younger. It's absolutely, it's heartbreaking. The only soundtrack, or rather theme, that I don't like, and again, it's not that I don't like it, I just think it's maybe the weirdest out the bunch, is My Sweet Passion for Amy's song.
No, okay, listen.
The lyrics, though. The lyrics, come on.
No, that's exactly it. I'm so glad you said it. Listen, every time I talk shit about My Sweet Passion, people are like, what are you talking about it. It's a banger. I'm like, no.
No. Let me guess. Are these the kind of people that go, what do you mean he's so cute that I had to shave him? What do you mean? I remember listening to that for the first time, and I can imagine it's like someone getting consciousness for the first time. And I was like, did she say something about shaving Sonic the Hedgehog?
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this, Satsu.
Do tell.
She wasn't talking about shaving Sonic, that's all I'm gonna say.
Oh! No. No, that's not what that means. No. Moth, you take that back right now.
Hold on. I'm gonna look up the lyrics.
That cannot be what that means.
Hold
no.
on.
No. No way.
Let me look up the lyrics. I'm so sorry. I've traumatized you.
No, that can't. No, I'm Googling it as well. I can't listen to this song again if that's what it means.
Listen, the first two lines.
Right, first two lines.
First two lines of verse 2.
So, ba-ba-ba-da-ba-da. Right, okay. We got a map, chose a place. I do understand the feelings of a Persian cat, but the Sphinx looks so cute. I had to shave a cat, and she had to shave it. Never mind, I hate Sonic music now.
Now listen, it's the implication, right? It's the implication.
The implication in a Sonic game.
Yeah, listen, she's talking about cats. It's just the implication.
So, 1 second. What was Amy Rose shaving in Sonic Adventure?
Oh my god, I... No.
The Sphinx has no hair!
Oh. I'm so sorry. I should have said nothing.
So I've looked it up and somebody's just said, no one knows for sure. Let's just keep it at that.
Listen, it was ruined for me because I saw somebody on TikTok bring it up and I was like, wait a minute.
My neighbours are going to be knocking on the door tomorrow.
Like, are you good?
Are you good? I'm like, no. No,
I'm really not.
By the way, I'm quitting the podcast. Here's my card.
Yeah, we're done. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's move on to Sonic 2.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Sonic Adventure 2 because that song's ruined for me now.
I know, I'm so sorry. The thing is, right, it's not overtly spoken, but...
Doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. It's wild.
Yeah.
Thing is, right, in my heart of hearts, this is completely serious here, I do not think that's what they meant.
No, jokes aside,
hope
definitely
that is not what they meant.
No, I don't think so.
No, because that's fucking weird.
That is weird, but if it is Sega, what the hell is wrong with you?
Like, oh my god. But no, moving swiftly on to Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah, let's escape from this city right here and now.
Please, Krusty wants out.
No, the world needs music. Anyway. So just kind of giving a blanket statement over Adventure and Adventure 2. I feel as if, as I was saying, that the music is of course complementary given the visual upgrade compared to the original games, but you know, you've got so many iconic soundtracks. You've got Emerald Coast, which is fantastic. Final Egg, there is an absolutely fantastic moment in that where they've got a guitar track. It's really annoying because they've got this very almost subdued, very mechanical again soundtrack when you go into Eggman's base and everything, and then all of a sudden you go into the second part of the level and they have this banging guitar track. As I said, just shredding that guitar is absolutely brilliant, and it's something that they of course brought into the sequel for Sonic Adventure 2, where whenever Eggman appears, it just characterizes him perfectly because it's bombastic, it's in your face, it's very self-congratulatory. You know, he's patting himself on the back saying, I am the Eggman. Mm-hmm. It is brilliant. It is just, I even sing along to it. I would genuinely go for the Eggman Empire.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, right, like you were talking about the soundtrack for Sonic Adventure, right? It was more, something I meant to bring up a little bit sooner than this, but the fact is, like for the retro games, right, the music wasn't so much from a narrative standpoint. It was more of a backdrop sort of thing, right? Because the narrative in the retro games was loose at best. quest. You knew you had to defeat Robotnik, to free the Flickies, all of that. That's about it. So the music back then needed to be more of a representative of the stage itself rather than anything going on in the stage. But like you said, for the stages like Marble Zone, it's a little bit more drawn back because, it's focused more on platforming than just outright speed. So it sort of lends to the gameplay rather than the characters themselves. Sonic Adventure, I think, was the shift in musical storytelling in the Sonic series anyway, towards rather than it just being stage specific and providing ambience and a backdrop to the stage, to actually being a part of the story as well. Where you started getting event music, you started getting character themes. Now, me personally, because I started with Sonic Adventure 2, I tend to prefer the covers that we got in Sonic Adventure 2 better, because I feel like they more accurately represent the characters that they are supposed to be a portrayal of. And because, this is something else that's actually really important, is the fact that this was a shift into the characters. A part of the narrative when it comes to explaining the characters who they are as a character is the shift in the tone for the music that represents them. Sonic was more of a rock sound. Tails was more upbeat pop. Shadow, his music relating to Shadow was more of a grungy and industrial sound. Eggman was very mechanical. And then, of course, Rouge, I would say, was R&B/jazz. And then Knuckles was more hip hop.
Knuckles is a weird one. Yeah, with Knuckles, he's got the theme Unknown from Me or Emmy. Don't get me wrong, that's a fantastic theme, especially where you've got the cheesy lyrics like, unlike Sonic, I don't chuckle.
Uh-huh.
That has become a quintessential meme at that point, where people are pointing out saying, hold on, he's chuckling there, wait a minute.
Yeah. Liar!
You laughed against me! You have done that yourself. Anyway, Star Wars memes aside, it was really cool. But then I feel as if they upped it to, I want to say, 1,000 in Sonic Adventure 2 with a slightly controversial figure. Is that 100p or something like that? 100p? The rapper who did Pumpkin Hill and Unknown from Emmy. Yeah, he's a very, very interesting fellow. But I'll leave it at that. But the fact is, you had a theme going on, and then they just kind of upped it to 11 in Adventure 2, but then they just kept going with it. But before we go, and I suppose we can loop this into the Dark Age as a whole.
Which, before we even get into this, right, I think calling it the Dark Age is really unfair. I don't understand why people consider these games to be the Dark Age, but then again, that's just me.
Well, I have to say that's why when we did our Sonic month, I want to say last year, or maybe the year before, time is a flat circle, honestly. But when we did our Sonic the Hedgehog month, we split it into the Retro Age, the Dark Age, and then the Modern Age. But then we had a completely separate episode for the Adventure series, because I feel as if it's kind of in its own bubble. But going off of that, I feel as if the only thing that the Adventure series, and I would say up until Shadow the Hedgehog, had in common was the very, very thematic main theme, which is something I don't feel as if they have as much anymore. And I know we'll get to that at the end, but for Sonic Adventure, you had Open Your Heart, which fitted perfectly about Sonic fighting this huge creature who knew nothing but hatred and destruction and was just guided in the wrong direction. Granted, he shouldn't have drowned the city, but that's neither here nor there. All's well that ends well. For Sonic Adventure 2, we had Live and Learn, where Shadow came to terms with the person, or rather the hedgehog that he was, and he used his power to help save the world, which I thought absolutely fantastic. What I'm Made of course, in Sonic Heroes, where Sonic, Knuckles and Tails, they took down the Metal Overlord, or Metal Sonic, Neo Metal Sonic, whatever Metal Sonic you want to put in here. They took him down and showed them what, and again, I kind of throw up in my mouth a little when I say, they showed him what true friendship was, but that was the whole theme of the game.
For something that's really interesting is, to me, What I'm Made Of was never really a representation of Sonic. What I'm Made Of is one of my favorite final boss themes ever. One of my absolute favorite ones, and one of the reason why is one of my favorites. And not only is it a certified banger, but it's also one of the first that you could say was from the point of view of the villain you were fighting. What I'm Made Of, to me, looked into into Metal Sonic or Metal Overlord's mindset while you were battling him. And I always thought that that was so refreshing. Like when I was younger, I was like, this is a little bit strange, you know, because it's just talking about leaving somebody as a black mark on a floor doesn't really seem like something that would be becoming of a hero. But then the more I thought about it, and as I got older and I played the game again, and the more I looked at it, I was like, you know what? Actually, this is more of a battle theme that feels like the struggle between our bad guy and the heroes that we're playing as, the heroes that we're rooting for. So it kind of can be read as it's from Metal Sonic's point of view, but also can represent both sides of the conflict simultaneously. And I think that is just so neat.
Oh no, absolutely. It was a really interesting way for them to go with it. And something you brought up earlier when you said that you blew your speakers out with this machine. Again, they bring back the thematical themes as well. You know, you've got this machine, you've got, I think it's Follow Me, or, what's the Team Rose one?
Oh, Team Rose? Yeah, Follow Me. And it's a really cute song. And don't get me wrong, I was a certified Amy hater growing up. I could not stand her. But now as I've gotten older and I've gotten to know her more as a character, and she's been developed more as a character in more modern games as well, I understand her a bit better.
And of course, you've got the Team Sonic. Just trying to remember what theirs is. Is it just Sonic Heroes?
Theirs is We Can, yeah. Because Sonic Heroes was the overall theme of the game, whereas We Can was the Team Sonic theme.
Of course, but that pales in comparison to Team
Chaotix, yes!
Because they are detectives who are on your side. I mean,
listen, Team Chaotix, again, had no business going that hard, but I was listening because I actually had a physical copy of the Sonic Heroes soundtrack. And I was just like, this goes hard for no reason, but thank you. You don't have to put this in the podcast, because like I mentioned earlier before we started, right? I had Sonic music playing in the background while we were going to do this. Mm-hmm. Team Chaotix literally just started.
Nice.
That's actually pretty great.
That is amazing. And before we move on to the latter half of the quote-unquote Dark Age / the Modern Age, because I feel as if the tail end of the Dark Age with Sonic 06 onwards can be lumped together with the first half of the Modern Age, and I will get on to why I think that. But of course, quickly touching on Shadow before we move on, while I think the theme I Am, although, you know, the game is controversial, we know how terrible it is, haha, hedgehogs with guns, but the theme I Am, All of Me, and Never Turn Back are some of my favourites.
Oh, listen, Never Turn Back.
The piano score, fantastic, and then it leads you into the rock, is so good.
I have a bit of a controversial opinion on this one, actually, believe it or not.
What, more controversial than My Sweet Passion?
I'm feeling spicy today, but no, so when it comes to Shadow the Hedgehog, absolutely, I Am All of Me, great song. Never Turn Back, certified banger. But if you were to ask me what I thought the real official canon theme for Shadow the Hedgehog is, it's Waking Up.
Why?
What do you mean, why? Read the lyrics, okay?
Look, last time I read the lyrics, I wanted to quit the podcast, okay?
What do you mean?
Oh no, I'm still reeling from My Sweet Passion. I'm not falling for it again, okay?
No, listen. Unironically, just reading the lyrics, right? This, to me, was always the quintessential theme for Shadow the Hedgehog, just because by the end of Shadow the Hedgehog, right, even though the game itself was by no means stellar, but I had fun playing it. I genuinely enjoyed Shadow the Hedgehog, but that's just because I was an edgy teenager more often than not. But the whole thing about Shadow's journey in that game, it was a journey of transformation, where you ultimately had the choice of how you wanted to do it, but the true ending had you somewhere in the middle. Shadow decided that Shadow was just going to be Shadow, and that was further reinforced by his story arc in Sonic 06, where he openly says to Mephiles, again, spoilers here, guys, he says to Mephiles that it doesn't matter what the world thinks of him. He is going to live and he is going to do what he thinks is right. He has a sense of justice, and he's not really letting himself be dragged down by the expectations that others had for him. So for me, Waking Up is such a great example of that mindset. This one right here, like one step to calm the storm inside you, unlock the secrets in your head. Not another day, no more confusion, no more living like the dead. It seems it's just out of sight. The ones with answers always get their way, but I think that they should know that we're coming for them now. Come on now. Waking up to me, I think, is just such a great example of Shadow's mindset by the end of the game, and I think that that was the quintessential theme. I'm pretty sure Waking Up was the song you got with the true neutral ending.
Probably.
That's what I want to say. And that's why, to me, I think it's the Shadow the Hedgehog theme. Even though I Am All of Me is the theme song. In my heart, it's Waking Up.
Well, it's no Bingo Highway.
It really isn't. It really isn't. Bingo Highway. I will fight you over Bingo Highway.
Yeah, we were fighting.
It was about to come to fisticuffs.
Yeah, we were fighting before we came on tonight recording, and I was saying how it's like ADHD for the ears.
But that's why it's so good. As an owner of an ADHD brain, you have no idea how good that scratches the brain.
But how can you say that when you're trying to slam Big the Cat as a pinball up the big pinball machine and he keeps falling down and all you hear is do-do-do-do-do-do-do. If I go to hell, that'll be playing on loop and I'll just be falling forever, never able to get up the cosmic pinball machine.
Listen, I'm going to just say it right now, and this is going to be shots fired, but it sounds like a skill issue to me.
I mean... So, Moth, we've reached the end of the episode. How does it feel?
Listen, this has just been an episode of me bullying you. I'm so sorry.
Moving on to Sonic 06.
Moving on, yeah.
So, as I was saying before, Sonic 06 and a lot of the games that preceded it have a very interesting connection. And that, of course, is the fact that Sonic seemed to, although it always retained its kind of rock roots, you know, you still had Crush 40 up until a very particular point. I want to say as far as before Sonic Unleashed, I don't think they used Crush 40 as much after Sonic Unleashed, because I don't think they were even in Unleashed. If they were, please Sonic fans let me know. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I know Endless Possibilities isn't them.
No, but you want to know who was Endless Possibilities, which just blew my mind.
Who was it?
I know he's the head of a band. I just don't remember which band it is. Is it Bowling for Soup? No, not Bowling for Soup.
Yeah, Bowling for Soup.
Damn! Look at me go! So, Endless Possibilities was sung by the head for Bowling for Soup, and like once you know that, you can sort of hear it. Don't get me wrong, I love Crush 40, and Crush 40, I think, served as the foundation for so many great Sonic soundtracks. Crush 40 is like the granddaddy for modern Sonic music, and I think it's just so good. But I also really like the fact that they weren't afraid to sort of shift gears and let other talents step up. And I think that Endless Possibilities, now, this is probably going to be another weird opinion. I'm chock full of them. But I think, when I think of like, what is the theme song for Sonic? For Sonic the Hedgehog as a character, if you had to go through and pick a song that you thought embodied Sonic the Hedgehog as a character entirely, I think Endless Possibilities is the one.
That is fair.
It's such a wild concept as well, because Sonic Unleashed, when the game was released, right, it was treated so strangely because they decided, how very dare Sonic Team do something different, you know, add like a whole new way of play for Sonic, when arguably it had some of the best kept momentum and speed in the daytime sections. And I loved the brawling of the nighttime sections. I loved being able to just smack little shadow creatures around, you know? It was great. It was great fun. And who doesn't love listening to jazz while you're beating the crap out of shadow monsters and robots, you know?
Hi there, I'm Satsunami.
Wait, hold on. Listen, are we gonna fight again? Is this round 3?
Listen, see when you hear that jazz riff for like the 50th time, you see the barrier pop up, and if I have to listen to do 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 do, I'm not doing well, Moth. I'm not doing well.
No, listen, you know what? I'll give you that. They could have done some variants.
Yeah, it's just that repetition. Otherwise, the soundtrack is stellar. But going back to overall, that is something I find fascinating, because going back to 06, you know, you've got all your rock themes. You've got, with the exception of Silver, which is really weird, because you've got Zebrahead doing his world, which is great.
Oh, the Zebrahead version was so good. Like I said, I love Crush 40, but Zebrahead's version was love it.
You've got Crush 40, I think, coming back for All Hail Shadow, which seems to be the only time. I think that's probably one of the last appearances.
Yes, but let me tell you, they went out with a bang, because I am on my knees in reverence for Crush 40's version of All Hail Shadow. Magnify was great. Crush 40 did it so much better.
No, they were absolutely fantastic. You had Dreams of Absolution, Absolution, which is a great song, but
I like the Bentley Jones version better, honestly.
yeah, the Bentley Jones one is great.
You know what's really funny about that song, though? I found out about sometime last year that I can't remember the name of the artist who did Dreams of an Absolution now, but that same artist has released 5 other different versions of that song in different fonts. Have you seen these?
Oh yeah. Oh.
I'm struggling to understand, like, what are you doing there, Chief? Like, what's happening? Are you okay?
It's like Dreams of an Absolution and the cooler Dreams of an Absolution.
No, literally. And the fact is, like, I mean, they're good, but it's just like, I don't understand why Dreams of an Absolution has had 5 different remasters by the same guy.
Well, I feel as if the weirder one, before I get into the positives here about this era of Sonic music, the weirdest one to me is Elise's theme. I really like, although, you know, there's the whole, oh, it's a hedgehog kissing a human girl, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we've been there. It's a tire trope.
We've all done that. We've been over this. That one's just beat to death.
Chaos Control yourself back to 2006 if you want to discuss it, because, you know, everybody's thinking it to death. But the one thing I find really, really bizarre is they got Akon in to do a remix of Elise's theme, but they mix it in with the ending of the Sonic 2 theme. It's really bizarre because if you look at Sonic 2, it's about this friendship of Tails and Sonic going on this grand adventure and everything. You know, it's really cool. But then they remix it into this love song between Elise and Sonic. I don't know. It's just, I'm not saying, oh, it's terrible, but it's just weird. It's just a weird choice.
The thing is, I kind of get it. It's. I think when they brought in Akon, it wasn't
Yelling remix.
Yeah, no, pretty much. The thing is, right, I kind of understand it because it's like, you don't make a choice like that just haphazardly. I think that there was some genuine thought put into how they wanted to handle the remix of the ending theme. And I think that it was a very conscious choice to pick that song because I think it suited the sound they wanted to go for the song itself. And while it may seem strange, listening to it back, that version is my preferred version of the song Sweet Dream because to me, again, it just makes sense. It's good to sort of go back to those old themes, again, something other than Green Hill Zone, and sort of have a little callback to it. I think it's nice.
Oh, no, absolutely. No, I've got nothing to add to that.
You've got nothing? It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, sure. Pop off, Queen.
7 out of 10. It's okay.
Like, it's not mid, but it's not great.
But something I find really interesting, as I said about this era, is how the main theme is, of course, related to Sonic, and it is always a rock or very light metal at a push, let's face it.
Please tell me you're going to bring up the orchestral themes.
Yep, I'm gonna bring up.
I'm so happy. I want to talk about these so much. I love them.
So, of course, you've got His World for Sonic's theme, but then, of course, you've got the amazing orchestral composition for
Solaris Phase 2.
That's the one. I
Solaris
love that.
Phase 2. Oh, I love it.
For Sonic Unleashed, you've got Endless Possibilities, and then you've got the Dark Gaia theme. Sonic Colors does a similar thing where they've got Reach for the Stars, and then they've got a remix. They do the same in Sonic Forces as well, but again, it doesn't work as well. Not that it doesn't work, but I don't think it's as impactful in Colors and Forces.
Yeah, Reach for the Stars is a song that I feel like it just didn't lend itself well to an orchestral reprise. A reprise.
Reprise.
Yes. Again, we're getting a little spicy here. There are very few games where I feel like that Sonic team fumbled the bag when it comes to music. Sonic Forces is one of them.
No.
Yeah.
Wait. No. Let me backtrack here. Over Lost World.
Oh, to be fair, I never played Lost World.
Okay.
I never played Lost World. Yeah, I haven't played Lost World, so I don't know what the music is like for that one. I thought this bump was just really underwhelming. It was fast, it was loud, and it was talking about, like, we'll show the world what we can do. Like, yeah, that's very Sonic, but it was kind of like,
I'm going to be honest, Sonic Forces is like my guilty pleasure enjoyment. Because it's quite underwhelming, but I would take it over Colors and certainly Lost World. I genuinely cannot remember what the main theme for Lost World is.
I don't even know. Like I said, I haven't played Lost World. I saw the Pixar-looking villains and I was like, huh? And I kind of gave it a pass, so we did play that one.
Which is so weird because the comics seem to really redeem them, but not enough for me to go back and say it was a good game because I genuinely don't like it.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. Like, there are some games where nostalgia nostalgia is definitely adding some value points to it. Shadow the Hedgehog, great example. Sonic 06, great example. Sonic Forces and Sonic Lost World, not so much.
What would you say the difference is, though? See if we just compare Sonic 06 and Sonic Unleashed, right, with Solaris Phase 2 and Dark Gaia, because for me personally, I feel as if Solaris Phase 2 is one of the most beautiful tracks in the entirety of the franchise.
The thing is, right, I think that Solaris Phase 2 was lightning in a bottle. They did it and they did it well. And so everything after that just sort of felt a little bit underwhelming, because Endless Possibility, like I said, is a great song. I would say, even dare say, like the Sonic theme song. But it just didn't have the same impact as Solaris Phase 2 did. It didn't have the same weight. It didn't feel as triumphant. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that, again, it was Solaris Phase 2. The first half of the fight had its own separate theme.
Nobody talks about Solaris Phase 1.
Nobody talks about Solaris Phase 1. People are like, huh? Really?
You're going to go nuts at this, but
Oh, here
do
we
you know
go.
what it is?
Well,
It's the bad boys of the Sonic soundtracks. You know, no one talks about Bad Boys. They talk about Bad Boys 2, but
Yeah.
they never talk about it.
they never did. That's exactly true. I think the biggest thing about Solaris Phase 2, right, is that it just felt so triumphant. Like, this was the climax.
Yeah.
And this is what everything that we went through up to this point, it all comes down to this. And I think that that's what made it such a great moment. Whereas I think that while Sonic Unleashed was a great game, had an amazing soundtrack, I feel in Endless Possibilities, amazing main theme for Sonic. I just think that the Dark Gaia fight just didn't hit the same. It just didn't hit the same. And I don't know if it's because, I don't know, I can't really explain why. Because I'm actually playing through Sonic Unleashed again. I haven't quite gotten to Dark Gaia again. Would you believe I'm lost? I am lost in Sonic Unleashed.
To be fair, I don't think I've actually completed Sonic Unleashed. This is an exclusive here.
No.
I got to the last boss fight and I think I gave up because of how annoying it was.
You know what? This is it. What we're going to do is I'm going to stream Sonic Unleashed and we'll finish it together, Satsu.
Why not?
It just didn't have the same impact. Once you get it the first time, every time after that, you're just kind of like, okay, it's this again. Like, yeah, the orchestral version is good, but again, I just think that Solaris Phase 2 was just such lightning in a bottle. It was so good. And the fact is, and I think another thing that really tied into it is that a lot of the music that was in Sonic 06, a lot of like the stage music and even some of the themes, even like the trailer version of his world, right, had a lot of orchestral elements in it already. There was so much going into it. There was so much dotted throughout the soundtrack that sort of alluded to like, oh, okay, we're going more cinematic here. We're getting a little bit more of a drama going here. When it finally reached that last Solaris Phase 2, when it reached the when it reached the ultimate climax, right? And it was a full orchestral arrangement of the main theme that we had been hearing all throughout the game, right? Oh, it was so good. It was so good. Hello? And they haven't really done anything like that again with any other games, which is a little bit sad.
It is really strange because even Sonic Frontiers, and don't worry, we'll get onto that soon as the final point, but you're completely right. It is really weird the way that I want to say that the story has, ironically enough, impacted the soundtrack, because it used to be, as I said before, it used to be the soundtrack in the retro age that was boosting although it was a simple story, it was still showing you what kind of level this was.
How you were supposed to feel in the moment.
Exactly, whether it was very slow and methodical for Marble Zone, whether it was a bit more high energy for Green Hill Zone, Emerald Zone, Mushroom Hill Zone, you know, whatever starter zone you want to put in here. As you said, it informed how you were supposed to feel for that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the further the series went on, it definitely got a lot more all over the place, I want to say. When Sonic 06 came out, it was a big, grand story. Same with the Sonic Adventure series, and it is controversial to say it could have been Sonic Adventure 3, but if it had succeeded, I genuinely think
it absolutely would have been. It was a spiritual successor. It was definitely like a shadow sequel, or like a pseudo sequel to Sonic Adventure. It had to have been, because you had 3 different stories you could play through, right? 3 different campaigns that all came together to one end, where you had your 3 protagonists working together to fend off the great evil. It's a given. And I think it's an element that I feel like is missing from games that have followed, right? And it's not to say that the games that followed were bad because they missed the elements. You know how I mentioned before, how the orchestral theming was sort of littered throughout Sonic 06, that sort of alluded to we were going to get a big conclusion like that, right? That was missing from games that came after it. In fact, what was really interesting to me, like even though Sonic Unleashed was revolutionary for a lot of different things, right? And especially in the way that it introduced motifs into games that sort of follow the characters and follow, even Chip has a motif. It's very short, but Chip has a motif and it comes through in the Light Gaia themes. Sonic's motif was entirely different than Endless Possibility. Endless Possibility was the theme of the game, but what we followed, because Sonic was the protagonist, is we followed the motif that we got for Sonic, not Endless Possibility. So in a way, it's like we started with Endless Possibility in the opening cutscene, but then we ended with the orchestral version of it, but there was little to no presence of the theme in the game to lead up to it.
The only counter argument I would have for that, and I feel as if it's more prevalent in the Dark Gaia theme, is you can definitely tell there's a back and forth in the composition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost as if it's trying to mirror that theme of Sonic fighting against, you know, his darker urges as the werehog. Again, it's probably not that deep considering, you know, it's a Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Oh no, I would absolutely agree, because something else that's really interesting, because you mentioned, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, go for it.
The thing about the themes, I wish I could remember the name of the creator, but I watched an amazing video analysis on the use of motifs in games like Sonic Unleashed, and Chip's theme was really interesting because Chip's motif is literally 4 notes, but when you hear it, it's fragmented, it's not quite complete. Do you know where else that appears? It appears in the Dark Gaia theme.
Oh, okay.
But you don't get the full established theme for Chip until you get to the Light Gaia segment.
Oh, that's cool.
And so Chip's theme becomes complete when he remembers who he is. And his theme is tied into Sonic's theme. And again, Sonic's theme is prevalent throughout. I mean, Sonic's motif, the da 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 da, that's the fucking victory music.
Oh,
Sonic's theme is everywhere in that. But Endless Possibility is nowhere. So I think that that's what really sort of why Solaris Phase 2 was so much better for me in that regard versus Dark Gaia fight theme, was because you had prevalence and you had the theme throughout the game to sort of follow you. So when you come to this moment, it makes sense. But you come up to this and you have Endless Possibility, which is the orchestral version of it, right? That you had at the start, but it was pretty much absent throughout the entirety of the game until this point.
That's a fair point, though. The thing that I think these games did particularly well was the almost build up to them as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
This is the thing, I have to admit, I think this is where I give Live and Learn the edge over Open Your Heart, because it starts a lot quicker. And again, there's the whole back and forth, and there's always that kind of shining optimism. That is always the underlying theme of all of them. If you listen to Open Your Heart, there's a slow build up, you hear the water surrounding everything, and then you've got the massive guitar boom going on. With Live and Learn, you know, it's that hopeful optimism, especially in the lyrics, you know, hanging on the edge of tomorrow. With What I'm Made Of, you've got, again, that whole back and forth that, I'm going to show you who I am. And especially, even without lyrics, especially with Solaris Phase 2.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you've just got that very slow
feeling.
build up. Yeah, it's that slow build up. It's that you're facing off, and then it builds up to this massive crescendo of just hope and optimism.
It's like, okay, let's do this. We've got to do this. We're going to win.
Again, going on to Dark Gaia, although I totally agree with you, I don't feel as if it does it as good as Solaris Phase 2, but there is still that kind of conflict with itself. But I do agree that the later games, when they pop up, they're just doing a rendition of the theme. And I think, again, going back to what I was saying, I feel as if after the Dark Age, and, you know, that Sega wanted to play it a bit more safe, and rightfully so, that you have these games that are very more child-friendly and everything. And personally, for me, I feel as if it heavily impacted the music.
Oh, it absolutely did. Part of the reason why I didn't play Lost World was because, like I said, I grew up on games like Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic 06 that had these darker, I don't want to say darker as in like, oh, like it's super dark, it's super edgy sort of storylines, right? But they were definitely more meaningful than what we got from some of the games like Sonic Colors is a great example. To me, it kind of felt like the Sonic team there for a second when trying to make their games more accessible for younger audiences, with young families with young kids and everything like that who were going to be playing Sonic games for the first time. It almost felt like they were talking down to their audience a little bit.
Well, I feel as if that is partly due to during the 2010s that Nintendo had I want to say a 3-game deal with Sega where they were going to bring out 3 games for, I can't even remember, it was either 3 or 4 because I'm trying to remember which ones they were. There was Sonic Colors, which of course came out for the Wii, but I don't know if that was the exclusive. In fact, it must have been, sorry. Yeah, you had Sonic Colors, you had Sonic Boom, which I have to say I don't really know much about the soundtrack there.
Yeah, neither do I, admittedly.
You had Sonic Lost World, which again, it's very forgettable. I don't know if there was like a Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games or something like that came out at the same time, but again, you wouldn't really think of that. It's very muted in comparison. Like, I feel as if they are trying to get the highs of the previous games without really putting in the legwork in terms of the emotional core of the games, which brings me on to my final point, because one game that we have to finish off on is Sonic Frontiers. I have mixed opinions.
Oh, we're gonna fight.
Don't get me wrong, I think that the soundtrack overall is fantastic. You know, Unbreakable is amazing. Breakthrough It All, absolutely great bop in the gym. Vandalize, I really like as well. Maybe this is going to attract the ire of a lot of Sonic fans. Hashtag what's new. But, for legal reasons, that's a joke. But I don't feel as if there's a definitive theme for Sonic Frontiers.
I disagree.
Do tell.
I disagree, because there's one you're really missing here, and I think it's really key, and it took a while to grow on me, admittedly, but it was what got me really invested. Well, it's not so much to grow on me, because it got me invested. From the first sort of trailers when we got for Frontiers, and the first sort of idea of what the music was going to sound like for Frontiers, what they displayed was I'm Here.
Oh, of course.
And that, to me, is just such the song for Sonic Frontiers, because it encompasses everything that Sonic is going through on the Starfall Islands. And it just literally says it in the name, like, I'm here, far across these new frontiers, you know? In my hands, I hold the ones I love. It's such a great song. Because the thing is, right? Okay, I'm going to tell myself a little bit here. I haven't played the new final boss for the updated final boss.
Same.
Because I did the hard ending, expecting, oh, this is going to be neat, and it wasn't.
It sucked.
Yeah, it was awful. And I'm like, what the hell is this? You could tell that, like, everything after the night was sort of shoehorned in. They was like, we want you to make the game longer, so do this. And it showed horrifically. From what I understand, though, they have updated it, so it's gotten better. So I really want to see what that's like. I might do that on stream. I don't know. We'll find out. But I think that I'm Here is a great addition to the Sonic theme song Hall of Fame, really. Some might say it's a little bit on the nose. For me, I think it's perfect to get the message across. And that comes from a soundtrack that already did so much. Good God, they did not have to go that hard. Kellen Quinn did not have to go that hard. We're used to getting one good boss vocal theme per Sonic game. They gave us 3.
Maybe this is just me being picky here, but I feel as if when I first heard OK Rock's Vandalize, which I have to say, I was really surprised when my girlfriend, when we were listening to it in the car, and she went, oh, OK Rock. And I was like, how do you know that? She's like,
no, oh my God. Have you listened to the actual version of the song?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's wild.
I know the swear word. Yeah.
No, it changes. Like, the song changes entirely with one word.
Yeah, I'm driving along and I have to turn it down at that bit, and it's like, do the pain away.
It's like, but no, it's like, ooh. But I know that they say that Vandalize is supposed to be the ending theme, right? Again, it feels a little strange to have Vandalize on there when I'm Here is right there, but they're treating I'm Here more as a boss theme.
I genuinely don't understand why, though, to be honest. I don't understand why they have Vandalize in there to begin with, other than the fact that they've got a very popular band and they've sung the song. It's almost like Sonic 06, but instead of having His World as the main theme, you would have something like, you know, Elise's theme, but like the remix version. And it's like, oh no, this is the real version because Akon sang in it. And you're like, no, that's not how it works, Sega. Again, I like Vandalize. I think it's a good song, but I feel as if it's so out of place because look back to the games that we've talked about. You know, what is the main theme for Sonic Adventure? Is open your heart. Again, it's about opening your heart to the terribleness of the world. What is the one for Sonic Adventure 2? It's live and learn. And then you've got what I'm made of, and so on and so forth. So I feel as if for the Dark Age, for all of the faults it has, up until Sonic Unleashed, there is a definitive theme for each of those games. But everything after, although there are definitive themes, I don't know. I don't feel as if there's one track, you know, that defines the games that you could point to and say, oh, that's great. I genuinely have never met anyone who says, oh, I love Reach from the Stars. It's my favourite and everything, you like, compared to the previous ones. And I feel as if that's where, for me, it gets a little muddled. Do you know what it actually reminds me of? You know, when we were younger, and in the 90s and early 2000s, especially for the Pokemon movie, because the Pokemon movie has this issue. Remember they had like a CD full of songs from the movie?
Yeah.
And it was like Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, well, maybe not Justin Timberlake, but NSYNC, things like that. Even them. Baby Spice, for some reason, Emma Bunton, she sang a song for it. But they weren't in the film. They were in the credits and on this CD. And they just had it there because they're like, oh, look at all these famous people attached to the film, even though it wasn't in the actual main part of the film. I feel as if in a way that's what it feels like for some of these new ones, where it's like, oh, we've got this really famous and talented band here, but yeah, it's not as impressive as they might think.
Yeah, and the thing is, you have a really good point there, because for all the good that Sonic Frontiers has going for it, I do think that that is one that definitely suffers for it. And the fact that, like, you have these great boss themes, but the fact that the game itself has a quote-unquote theme that doesn't really feel like a theme. When one of the first songs that we got for Sonic Frontiers was I'm Here, the short version of I'm Here. I feel like that should have been considered the theme, especially since it got a remaster for, or like I don't want to say a remake or remaster, but it got an edit for the new updated final boss, which again, I haven't done. I haven't played the final boss. I haven't even listened to the song. I just know that it exists. And I really look forward to being able to listen to that at some point whenever I'm playing the game, hopefully. But no, I think that for all of the good things that Frontiers has going for it, I think the lack of a clear-cut theme is what really sort of sets it back a little bit.
Yeah, they could have done something more with it. And I feel bad for saying that, because don't get me wrong, it does make you feel as if you're in this grand and epic battle with each of the Titans. And I think that's fantastic. And I feel as if they're going in the right direction. That's what we'll say. I don't think they're quite there yet.
They took a risk.
Yeah.
I will say that Infinite's theme walked so that Undefeatable, Break Through It All, and Find Your Flame could sprint, because those songs did not have to go as hard as they did. I, like many other creators that I've watched play the game for the first time, had to pause. I had to leave my game sitting on that tutorial screen when the music started, because I'm like, what am I listening to right now? Why is it going this hard? And mind you, I listened to a lot of Sonic music growing up, but I also, when I was in middle school, and not in middle school, but in high school and things like that, I also went through a metalcore. Like, I started listening to more metalcore. And so things like that just immediately just hit, it hit right in that spot of just like, okay, this is a banger, and this is going to be going on my playlist yesterday. And it has done. I've listened to those songs so many times, I'm about sick of them. Keyword, about sick of them. I'm not sick of them yet, so I must listen to them more until I hate them. So I think they took a big risk with the direction that they went with the battle themes in Sonic Frontiers. And I think that the rest of the soundtrack is lacking.
Yeah.
Like, the stage music is forgettable. But this is also coming from somebody who I did not want them to do the cyberspace levels at all. I would have been happy with the game without the cyberspace levels. If we would have just had the open world Sonic game. No, Sega, don't be listening to this bit, okay? Listen, I'm going to say this, but you're not allowed to take this and run with it, okay? A part of me wanted them to just do the open world, and it would feel like, and have like bosses and encounters just out there for you to find. A bit like a Souls-like. Another Crab's Treasure, but Sonic.
You're playing a very dicey game here.
Oh, I am. I'm very aware, but I think it'd be fun.
And I have to say, as a kind of closing point to our discussion, I have to say there's a lot of other soundtracks that we haven't really touched on that I think deserve an honourable and dishonourable mention.
I have two, just straight up, that I can talk about.
Is this the Storybook series by chance?
Yes, it actually is. I still think that Sonic, specifically Sonic and the Black Knight, is one of my favorite soundtracks.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And Sonic Riders.
Ooh, okay.
Specifically the first Sonic Riders game.
Yeah,
Zero Gravity was a little but the first one, bangers. All of them. All the track themes, bangers.
I have to say, although I didn't really appreciate Sonic Riders as much, I do appreciate the soundtrack, which is a very running theme for a lot of fans of the franchise, I feel. But no, they were absolutely fantastic. I have to admit, I do like Seven Rings in Hand. That is by Steve Conte,
yes.
is it? Or, yeah.
Seven Rings in Hand is great. Also, oh no, what's the name of the song? I can't remember. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Something about the palace we found. Who's gonna rock the place?
Who's gonna rock the place? Who's gonna rock the place? Rock the place. Yeah.
That song just scratches my brain so good.
Some infamous ones though. Well, sorry, one more famous one. Sonic Rush. I feel as I've had a few good ones.
God, yeah, that one had such Jet Set Radio vibes for me, and I love it.
The ones I didn't like, though, Sonic Chronicles.
Yeah, they...
that City Hub theme, which I shall not be naming.
Which is a shame, because I didn't get to play it myself, but from what I've heard, it's a good game. It's just the music sucked.
I mean, I played it and I relatively enjoyed it from what I remember, but the music wasn't doing anything for me, I have to say. Except the intro theme. I thought the intro theme was really cool. But beyond that, the music was very lacking because I can't even remember much of it. Sonic 4 as well. And again, it's picking off the low fruit here to say, the Game Gear games as well. Not great.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the other undesirable spin-off games. I don't think anyone's rocking out to Eggman's Mean Bean Machine soundtrack.
Hey, speak for yourself.
I mean, true. Is that how your second car went out?
That's exactly it. Just bumping some Mean Bean Machine. Come on now.
Oh, exactly. But I just want to say that something that I absolutely adore about the soundtracks as a whole, whether the games are great, whether the games are bad, the soundtrack is the unifying force throughout the entire franchise. Everybody says, whether the game's good, whether the game's bad, even the weaker soundtracks like Sonic Forces, where you've got the Infinite theme, which is a banger. I don't care.
Like I said, Infinite walked so that way all of the boss themes from Frontiers could run. So
Oh, absolutely. But the fact is that it holds such an important and special place in the fan base's heart, and something that I absolutely adore as well, and something that I think I was talking to you about a couple of months ago was when I was watching I think it was the 30th, I want to say, celebration of Sonic, or maybe it was the year after, where they got a very prominent YouTuber, Nate Wants to Battle, who does a lot of... He used to do a lot of covers. I don't know if he's shifted more.
He still does his covers, don't worry.
Oh, does he? Right.
Yeah, he still does his covers, don't worry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if he's shifted more into his original stuff. A bit like Jonathan Young, I know he does that as well.
I love Jonathan Young. Caleb Piles has got some bangers too.
Oh, Caleb Piles. Oh, so damn good. Love them all. But, you've got them, you've got... I think it's Amy Jones. She does some amazing covers.
Yes.
She also did the theme for Sonic R.
I'm a supersonic racing.
Oh, of course, Sonic R. We have to shout out Sonic R.
Listen, I don't care what anybody says. Can You Feel the Sunshine? Still a daily play for me.
Oh yeah, I was playing that the other day. Again, in the car, much to my partner's disappointment.
Tails Doll Curse be damned.
That was it. Fly With Me with Amy Jones and Tony Harnell.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. I want to give a shout out as well to Johnny Gioli, who is, again, the other half to Jun Sonoe's Crush 40.
Mm-hmm.
He's Crush 20,
Yeah, Crush 20.
Crush 2020. I absolutely love that. I know he's not a fan. He's an official singer of Sonic. I just wanted to point that out because I wouldn't have another chance to say it, but absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much, honestly, to Crush 40. All of these people who appreciate Sonic music and all the people who created the Sonic music, and that goes for all of the guest singers as well. So like our lead singer for Owl City, who did Reach for the Stars, the Bowling for Soup guy, I've forgotten his name already, even though I just Googled him. I'm terrible for that. Crush 40. Of course, now Kellen Quinn has joined the ranks as well. All of these fantastic artists who've given us this music. And Otani, our new director for music for Sonic Team as well, has just absolutely been killing it. So we wouldn't have a topic to talk about today without these people.
Not to mention, of course, T-Lopes, who did he not do a lot of the Sonic Mania stuff?
That's a little bit outside of my wheelhouse because I didn't play Sonic Mania either. Because like I said, I'm not really one for like the classic side scroller kind of things.
I am such a nerd. I apologise.
No, don't apologize. If anything, I'm learning.
Because I know he did the Studiopolis one, and the only reason I know he did the Studiopolis is because I listened to that on my playlist. You know the one that goes, amazing copyright free music there. One other person that I want to touch on, and again, it's more a fan who was singing it, is someone called Ty McGrath. Have you heard of this person?
I have not, no.
So he does a lot of covers for Sonic songs. He's done ones like, what would an anime intro sound like for Sonic Frontiers?
Wait, no, I do know this guy.
Yeah, he's done covers of Endless Possibility. He's even done a really good reach for the stars.
Yes.
Usually, as I said, usually that is not really my thing, but his version is just absolutely fantastic. All of his covers and things are just brilliant because he kind of combines his own, well, he combines the English lyrics with Japanese ones, yeah.
And then sometimes he'll like blend two songs together.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. It's so creative.
Oh, it really is. And that's my point, I suppose, as a final closing point, that the amount of fans and creativity that this has fostered, especially within the community, is just brilliant.
It is.
I feel as if the games even die off, or God forbid that they stop making them one day, the music will never die for these games.
Oh, yeah.
Because the amount of talent that has been poured in, and again, you saw before in previous generations, you had Michael Jackson, Akon, you know, you've had all of these very famous artists in their own rights get involved in this series, and it just shows how prevalent, even if you don't like the game, you will love the music. And I just think that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible the reach that it has.
So is there any final points that you want to bring up?
No, I think I'm actually quite happy with that because we got our honorable and dishonorable mentions and everything like that. And I feel like that I have had my opportunity to yap into the wind about the complexities and everything like that. And I could keep going, but I already feel bad for you when it comes to editing this one because
it's the longest one in a while, not gonna lie.
Yeah, we do be out here just absolutely yammering on. Why does this keep happening to us?
Why are we still here, Moth?
Help. Help.
But Moth, as always, it is such a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining me, talking about, a topic that we are both very passionate about. And really, in the future, we could definitely split this up into smaller episodes as a whole. But...
Oh, absolutely. Because like I said, I could go on for hours about how the transition from the retro style going into the glory days of adventure and then going further into introducing motifs and character motifs. Because we didn't even touch on about the fact that in Sonic Unleashed, because we spent so much time talking about Unleashed, we didn't even talk about the fact that Eggman got a theme that has carried over through multiple games after that. And that was the first time that happened. Like, what?
I mean, not to mention, of course, the themes for all the different locations.
Yes.
Because whether you hate them or love them, I have to admit, Spagonia Day/Night and Chunan Day and Night, they are on my playlist as permanent features because they are just so soothing and just absolutely fantastic. Again, the composing for that game as a whole, although I'm not Unleashed's biggest fan, I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the game, but I will admit the one thing I will completely concede to is the fact that the soundtrack is a thing of beauty.
Oh, yes.
And I absolutely love it. But thank you once again, Moth, for joining me in this amazing discussion. But before we leave off, where can these lovely listeners at home find your content?
Well, I am most at home on the Purple Place. So I like to go on Twitch. I stream 3 times a week. If you want more information about that, you can find me. I have a whole Discord community. You're welcome to join as well. And I'm also active on Twitter, but I post some pretty cringe stuff on Twitter main. So if you want some free entertainment in that regard, please feel free to come give me a follow. All of them are Wysteria Moth as it's spelled in the title. So nothing special, nothing super complicated. I'd be so happy to see you guys.
And yeah, if you want to check out more episodes from ourselves, because let's face it, we have a laugh here, don't we?
Listen, we do be yapping and we do be wheezing.
We do. It is very true. But yeah, if you want to catch more episodes from ourselves, you can of course check us out at chatsunami.com, as well as all good podcast providers. I also want to thank my amazing Pandalorian patrons, Robotic Battle Toaster and Sonia. Thank you so much as always for supporting the show. And if you too would like to become a Pandalorian patron and get exclusive content to early access episodes, special exclusive episodes, and even some cheeky Twitch VODs, then you can check us out at patreon.com/Chatsunami. I also want to point out that this podcast is part of the Podpack Collective. For more information about the amazing podcasts involved, check us out at our X/Twitter handle, Podpack Collect. But until next time, stay safe, stay awesome, stay hydrated, and most importantly, live and learn.